Kobbie Mainoo is better than Pedri.
True.
Objectively, no. Emotionally, of course not.
False with a capital
no argument.
F.
False.
I mean, I think whoever wrote this is a Man United fan.
For sure.
We know him, but we won't mention him. Rock, paper, scissors. So let's do rock, paper, scissors to see who starts. Huh? Aye. Where? Kyle, true or false? Kyle Walker is a better right back than Danny Carvajal. For me, false. I know I'll get a lot of stick for saying this, but in my opinion, Kyle Walker has made a career predominantly because of his pace. Like if you watch the game last night against Netherlands, like his pace was so vital in preventing Netherlands from breaking through and finding the back of the net. I remember there was a chance where Gakpo was thrown goal, but his pace was very good at helping them, at giving them a lifeline. But in terms of Danny Carvajal is the type who, for me, the way he plays, he's that old school kind of right back. But the thing with him, as much as he drives into tackles, he actually knows how to read the game. Whereas with Kyle Walker, as much as he's made a very good career for himself, most times you find him having lapses in concentration, and he has to over-rely on his pace to get him out of trouble. Which is why in most situations, if he relies too much on his pace, sometimes he can mistime his tackle, and then he tends to show people onto their stronger foot and they score. I think I saw it last season. I saw it around like 6 times. And I remember there was a game against Newcastle where City won 3-2, but he showed Alexander Isak and showed Gordon onto their stronger feet. And they scored in the exact same way, in my opinion. So I feel like that at times can tend to be against him. And I feel like Carvajal is better at him than him at timing the challenge and reading the game. So for me, Carvajal is better.
Carvajal is far much better because number one, defensively is better. Number two, Kyle Walker does not have a final ball. His cross is abysmal. For sure, is abysmal. So, false. Carvajal is better.
Yeah, and you also mentioned it. Going forward, his crossing is poor. He's not technically the best player there is. His pace is elite, and that's what has given him the career that
he's what, 34 now?
Yeah, he's 34 and he's
still that fast.
But not to say that he's a bad player. He is a very good player, but Carvajal is better.
Carvajal is better.
Your turn.
True or false? Lamine Yamal will start in the English team. Objectively, no. Emotionally, of course not. As a national fan, Saka he still levels. For me, he can't start. Number one of the biggest criticisms I have of the Spanish team is they usually overuse their young players. They usually expose them too much, give them too much hype.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, he falls off. Yes, he scored a wonder goal against France, but as of now, not yet. Of course not.
For me, I will say true, because as much as Yamal is a talent, I don't think, for me, he's human after all. I don't think he's like Messi, who has no significant weakness whatsoever. For me, his dribbling is decent, but it's not Ronaldinho levels. But what impresses me about Yamal is the fact that Yamal's tactical understanding of the game at 16 and his maturity is up there, but he's still piling on. He's still learning his trade. And for me, Saka has played 4 consecutive seasons in a row at the highest level, producing mostly good, very good, or sometimes elite performances. He's a very consistent player. So for me, Saka has the edge in terms of his experience and in terms of his maturity as well, and as well as his effectiveness, especially at producing the output and being effective, which wins games in the end.
For sure, but you can't also underrate Yamal's talent. He has a lot of raw talent. He just need a bit of guidance, but still, not yet. Not yet.
Exactly.
False.
True or false? No English player would get into the Spain starting 11.
False.
Kwa sababu I'm really trying to think of a player that wouldn't walk into the team and you really can't make a case because Harry Kane, for a start, is the best striker in the world. You can't tell me that Harry Kane wouldn't walk into the Spain side ahead of Alvaro Morata, who has always polarized opinion. You get? So I think that already is one pick that will walk into any side in world football and start. Yes.
Also, there is Saka. The only one which I know will be an argument will be the goalkeeper, for sure.
The goalkeeper.
Pickford is not getting in. But defensively...
defensively, you may say Carvajal will step in ahead of Walker.
For sure.
I don't think Marc Cucurella will get into the team ahead of a fully fit Luke Shaw.
Of course, even.
You can't really say two defenders, that is Lenormand and Aymeric Laporte, who's now playing in Saudi Arabia, will still get into the team ahead of John Stones, who's still at Man City. Laporte wasn't getting game time at Man City, and that's why he left in the first place. So I don't think you can really make a case for a player. Maybe the midfield. Maybe Spain have better midfielders than
because Rodri is getting in over Rice, even though I love Rice.
Yeah.
But by the way,
Pedri is a generational talent.
Who are you taking, Olmo or Foden?
Pardon?
Olmo or Foden?
Olmo, Foden. Personally, I'd lean more towards Olmo. Not because I think Olmo is more talented than Foden. Foden is a generational talent, but in terms of Olmo's versatility, in that he can play in the 8, he can play out wide and can play false 9, whereas Foden is more accustomed to playing as a 10 or on the flanks. So I'd take Olmo.
True or false? Kobbie Mainoo is better than Pedri.
False with a capital
argument.
F.
False.
I mean, I think whoever wrote this is a Man United fan.
For sure.
We know him, but we won't mention him. Because, okay, think about it. Kobbie Mainoo has burst onto the scene. He burst onto the scene last December. He should have burst onto the team earlier were it not for injury, but he burst onto the scene and has been he's been a glimmer of hope for a Man United team that has been average for much of last season. But you can't really say that Pedri, who has been playing at the highest level for Barcelona week in, week out since he was 17. Remember, Mainoo broke into the team when he was 18 already. He'd already turned 18. And Pedri was actually 16. Forget 17, 16. But that is subject to be fact-checked. But Pedri has proven his worth. And I personally feel that England lack a profile of player that has Pedri's skill set. In terms of, like, he can build play from deep. He has the composure to receive the ball on his half turn and then spray passes forwards and then give those line breaking passes. I think Pedri is a generational talent who's just been unfortunate with injuries. But when fully fit, no one is like Pedri.
For me, Kobbie Mainoo is just overrated so far. He had a good season, good half of a season actually. So it's too early. Not yet. Pedri has been there for a long time. In fact, I remember complaining of his usage last season. He played I don't know how many games for Barcelona. He went there in Spain. He only had 2 weeks of vacation, which for me is what has contributed to his injuries. He's being overused by the Spanish team, but he's still levels ahead. What I'm scared of with Pedri, I hope he does not turn into Ansu Fati, such that he's overhyped, he's overplayed, injuries, and now he can't even get into a Brighton team. But so far, Kobbie Mainoo's future is bright. He's already broken into the England team. Man United, it looks like he has solidified his position already, but that's just a horrible Man United team. That's not just his name. So hopefully, coming season, he can prove his worth, and then we can have this conversation.
Higher. True or false? Iniesta, Javi, and Busquets are a better trio than Scholes, Lampard, and Gerard. True.
False.
Track record already tells you all you need to know. Hey. For me, let me explain it first. For me, that trio won Spain the World Cup, won Spain the 2012 European Championships. Busquets wasn't ready in 2008 and also won that great Barcelona team that won almost like 15 trophies within a span of 3 years. It was the driving force behind their success. Again, these three players were very technical players. Like I said, they were very good at receiving the ball on the half turn, dictating the play. Iniesta was good at carrying the ball forwards. Xavi was very good at, especially when he was given a more advanced role, playing with his back to goal, creating space for the likes of Messi to do their damage. And then Busquets was just Busquets, a generational number 6 who was aware of his surroundings and was 6 steps ahead of everyone else. Whereas compared with Scholes, Lampard and Gerard, these three were players who, especially in the case of Gerard was very athletic, he was very effective, he was a leader of men. Lampard was also a very good goal scorer. Paul Scholes as well was, in my opinion, he's my favorite Premier League midfielder of all time. But as a unit, they never thrived at all. They never thrived together. Scholes even had to be played on the left by Sven-Goran Eriksson. And as a whole, they were dysfunctional, and they never helped England achieve their targets. So for me, in terms of as a unit for both club and international level, all three were superior. The Spanish guys were superior.
Apana. The only thing they were superior at is having more minutes together. That's the only thing they have. Number one, look at Lampard. I think he's the top scorer of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Number two, Scholes, who arguably is the best midfielder in Man United history. And you have Gerrard, who the only thing, chink is in his armor, he slipped and he cost Liverpool the title. Other than that, incredible players, flawless.
Yeah, I know they achieved a lot individually and at club level, but as a unit. Because remember, we are arguing this in terms of the question asks, which trio is better playing together, right?
The only advantage that Xavi and Busquets and Iniesta have if they play together in Spain and in Barcelona. So they were always there. But when it comes to Scholes, they didn't have the time to build the chemistry. And we'll see also as well, like Scholes and Gerrard, when they go to club level, they are rivals, biggest rivals. But other than that,
I'm not taking anything away from their abilities, but as a unit playing together. There isn't a better trio in world football of all time than Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets for me.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
True or false? Bellingham is better than Pedri.
False. False with a capital F.
Akuna.
With a capital F. Explain your point first before I explain.
Number one, how many players do you know have been able to go in and wear that heavy Real Madrid shirt with that very heavy number 5 and perform the way he did, coming in the clutch as much as he has, going from Borussia to Real Madrid, being there almost, he scored I don't know how many last minute goals, going to England, slotting in immediately. In fact, I think he's the only player who doesn't play in England in that team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's almost
and difficult. Kane as well.
And Kane went recently, but other than Kane and him, nobody else plays outside of England. And he walked straight into the team. Whereas Pedro, where is he now? He couldn't. You can argue he went to. It's the pressure that affected him.
Yeah.
But come on, Bellingham is levels. In fact, he's within a shout for Ballon d'Or.
I know.
Right now, has Pedro ever come to such lengths?
I know. Okay. Now let me explain my point. I know that Jude Bellingham is a match winner. I am a Real Madrid fan myself. But if you looked at Real Madrid, the way they were setting up, Bellingham was never involved in build-up. His job was just to get the space to crash the box and score goals, right? In my opinion, in any way, the guy that was doing most of the work was Vinicius Jr. and Vinicius, who as split strikers were drawing men to them and was creating space for Bellingham to tap in and score the goals. Yes, he was winning matches on his own, but in terms of pure talent as a whole, in terms of technical ability, and in terms of just being okay, both of them were mature for their age. That's why they broke through the senior team at a very early age. But technically, Pedri is just a better player. And also, you have to remember the fact that Pedri tactically will give you more options in that you can play him as a deep line playmaker and he will aid your build-up from the back very smoothly. Whereas with Bellingham, right now, as we are seeing with England, he needs like 100 touches of the ball to make things work, and it's not his strength. Where Carlo Ancelotti has set up the team at Madrid to play to his strengths of crashing the box. So in terms of talent as a whole, individual talent and giving you more options tactically and being effective even when playing multiple positions, I feel like Pedri has the edge over Jude Bellingham. Even though, yes, as you said, Bellingham has won them a lot of games and won them the Champions League last year.
Number one,
technically
the reason why Ancelotti was able to play the 4-4-2 diamond is playing at Madrid is because he found out that Bellingham is able to read the game, he's able to arrive late and also to hold players maybe as a false nine. With Joselu,
but you know,
target man up and Bellingham is level.
But you know, 1 minute, but before we wind up, but you know, this guy named Bellingham is not really effective at holding the ball up. He even said it on TV himself that he doesn't like it.
But you see, with him, he creates options. He is a threat, number one. So meaning, you have to watch for Vinicius, Rodrigo on the other side, Bellingham in the middle, and maybe whoever they play as a centre forward. Coming season will be Mbappe. Do you want to tell me that he won't even score more?
I actually feel it will be lopsided in any way because there isn't a focal point to hold the ball up for them to get in behind. Yes, for me, in my opinion.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Anyway,
agree to disagree.
I know, man.
But I feel this is the last one, so I hope this is not a controversial one. True or false? Hey, where Rodri will get into the 2010 Spain squad? Squad or starting lineup? Squad.
Squad, yes. Starting lineup.
Squad, no. He would. Starting lineup. Let me argue it this way. In your opinion first, was Rodri a better player than Xabi Alonso, who got into the first team?
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe defensively, but overall, Xabi Alonso is still better. He's a better field general. He has better passing. With Rodri, I know for sure his defensive stats are good, but progressively, he relies on KDB. For me, his game is similar to Kante more than to Xabi Alonso. So for sure, he can't. Spain 2010.
Spain 2010, hey, that was a generational team. As much as Rodri is a world-class midfielder, I think he'd get into the squad, yes, but he wouldn't get into the starting lineup. So for me, I'll say true, he wouldn't get into the starting lineup
because
for the 2010 World Cup squad.
Because it was Xavi, Iniesta, Xabi Alonso, Busquets was in the flanks.
Exactly. Busquets was in the middle, Xabi Alonso was next to him in a pivot, Iniesta was playing on the left, Xavi was playing in the number 10 position, and then they'd use a wide option, maybe Jesus Navas, or on certain occasions they'd probably use Pedro. So I don't think he'd get into the team. David Villa in the 9, Exactly. It's impossible. Rodri is a quality player, world-class player right now, but
what those guys achieved well.
Individually
and even collectively.
And that's what I was telling you before we wind up, that the trio of Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets was just better as a unit playing together than Lampard, Gerard, and Scholes. That, in fact, vindicates my point.